Hello, Algebra 1. Today we are moving on to Unit 0, Day 2. We're going to be talking about something called order of operations, which I'm sure you have heard of before. But wait, before we talk about order of operations, we're just going to go over one more thing about your graphing calculator and also Desmos, and that is how to work with exponents. So exponents, if you are using the calculator, we can go ahead and use what's called the caret button. It looks like this little up arrow. You can see it right here below clear to create an exponent. If your calculator is newer, your exponent's actually going to rise up and it's smaller. And if it isn't, then it's just going to the caret button will be right next to your exponent when you type it in, and that's okay as well. All right, so let me show you how to do that. So let's say that I want to go 5 to some power. I'm going to click this button right up here. You notice I have a newer operating system, and so it's raised up, and then whatever exponent you want to be, you're going to type it in, and you'll go ahead and get that answer. Now, if you are specifically squaring something, meaning raising to the second power, there is a shortcut. You can type this button instead. See how it says x squared? So I don't need to type this caret. I can just click right on this and get the 5 squared. Now, if you're going to use Desmos, you're going to type your number. If you want it squared, meaning raised to the second power, you click this. If you want to raise it to any other power, you're going to click this one, and then you can type whatever number you need. All right, so let's go over these 4 problems, and then we'll move to order of operations. 17 squared. Again, if you're using the calculator, you can either use the caret button or you can press the squared button. Either way, you're going to get 289. It's just your personal preference. 8 to the 4th. This time I'm going to use Desmos. Because I'm raising to some power other than 2, I'm going to click this button and then put the 4. Oh, that's very large. 4,096. All right, and finally, number 3. I want you to notice one of these has parentheses, one of these doesn't. We haven't talked about parentheses on the calculator yet, so let's do that. On Desmos, the parentheses are literally just right here. You can go ahead and click them. But on the calculator, let's take a look. So the first one is negative 4 squared, no parentheses. Remember, negative is down here. This one gives you a negative 16. The second one has parentheses. The parentheses are right up here by division. You want to make sure you type it in exactly the way it looks. So the squared is outside the parentheses. So what I want you to notice is that one of these gives you a negative 16 and the other gives you a positive 16. So I want you to think for a minute why these would be different. So the answer is, in the first problem, what we're actually just doing is we're squaring the 4. 4 squared is 16, and then there's a negative in front of it. In our laws of exponents unit, we will talk about how exponents only belong to the number directly attached to it. However, in the second problem, the parentheses mean that the squared goes to the whole thing. So this is squaring negative 4, which means negative 4 times negative 4. And yesterday we talked about how a negative times a negative is always a positive. All right, so that's the difference. Now, PEMDAS is the way that we are going to remember order of operations. This is the order that we do computation in. So we always are going to do P for parentheses first. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do exponents. Then we're going to do multiplication or division. I'm going to use the dot for multiplication. And finally, we're going to do addition or subtraction. Now, there are a couple operations that have the same priority, so let's go over those. The ones that have the same priority are addition and subtraction, and also multiplication and division. So when you have those same priorities, you're going to go from left to right, just like you're reading a book. If those are not the same priority, okay, so if you have multiplication and addition, then you're going to have to use the order of PEMDAS. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First, identify your operations. You have a minus and you have a plus. Those are the same priority. That means I move left to right. 18 minus 5 is 13. 13 plus 6 is now 19. All right, and you can use your calculator to help you with this if you need to. Most of the time, though, your teacher is going to want to see some form of work. All right, number 2, first step, identify your operations. We have division and multiplication. Those are the same priority. That means I go left to right. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then 4 times 2 is 8. All right, now number 3 is where you have to be careful. We have addition, division, subtraction. Addition and subtraction are the same priority, but division comes first. So the first thing you've got to do is this. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Everything else comes down. Now we have the same priority. Now we go left to right. 6 plus 2 is 8, and then 8 minus 3 is 5. Ooh, we have a 3 squared here. You can practice typing this into your calculator if you need to. This is an exponent. An exponent comes before subtraction and division, so I'm just going to do that first. 3 squared is 9. So I'm just going to rewrite all of this. Now I have subtraction and division. Division comes first. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And 9 minus 7 is 2. All right. Now something new here. What comes first overall? Parentheses. So we're actually going to do this 4 minus 8 first. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. We're going to leave that in parentheses, okay? Now, after the parentheses, we have exponents. So we need to now go ahead and do this. And think about what we just talked about up here. When there are parentheses, this becomes a positive 16. And finally, we have that multiplication. 2 times 16 is 32. Again, use your calculator as much or as little as you need to. All right, number 6. First, I look for parentheses. There aren't any. Next, I look for exponents. Yes, I have them. 3 squared is 9. Bring everything else down. Next, I look for multiplication, division. Yes, I have multiplication. Use your calculator if you need to. 3 times 9 is 27. Bring it down. Last step is to subtract, and you'll get a negative 25. All right, so you just literally go in this order. So start with parentheses. Yes, I have them. 8 minus 2 is 6. Now that's all that's left. 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right, once again, parentheses first. So first I'm going to do 2 minus 8. That's negative 6. Now, think about what we did yesterday. When you have that minus minus, this becomes a plus plus. 80 plus 6 is 86. And our last one today, we again look for parentheses first. There aren't any. Exponents, there aren't any. Division and multiplication, yes. So those are the ones we're going to do first. Same priority, so I can do both of them. From left to right, 20 divided by 2 is 10. 9 times 4 is 36. Plus comes down in the middle. Add them together. All right, so that was your recap of order of operations. I hope you have a great day. Bye.